The wind screamed through the desolate streets of Bridgeport, clawing at every exposed inch of skin with a merciless chill. It tore down alleys and around corners, dragging flurries of snow like icy phantoms. Riley pressed herself tighter against the cold stone wall of a crumbling post office building, her limbs drawn inward as she tried to shield herself from the cold. Her frame, wrapped in little more than threadbare layers and desperation, shivered uncontrollably beneath the weight of winter's fury. Snowflakes floated from the sky and tangled in her messy dark curls. Her coat, if it could still be called that, was a tattered ruin of faded fabric and torn seams. In her arms, Riley clung to the only thing that hadn't been taken from her, a faded blue blanket embroidered with cartoon suns, once a cheerful gift from better days. She'd named it Freddie, just to feel like she still had something that belonged only to her. As her stomach churned from hunger and her bones protested the cold, Riley curled up smaller, teeth chattering in rhythm with her trembling limbs. People bustled past on the nearby sidewalks, businessmen, couples, tourists, all wrapped in puffy coats and fleece scarves. None looked her way. To them, she was just another forgotten soul in a city too busy to care. Her heart ached in a dull, familiar way. She couldn't remember how many nights she'd spent like this. The streets of Bridgeport had been her reality for too long, ruthless, unyielding, and blind to suffering. She'd long stopped hoping for kindness from strangers. Then, piercing the icy silence, a faint, fragile sound reached her ears. A whimper. Small. Broken. Riley's head lifted, her breath leaving her mouth in pale clouds. Her eyes scanned the empty sidewalk. Then she saw it, a shadowy shape curled beneath a flickering street lamp across the road. A German shepherd, coated in snow and grime, lay shivering against the side of a recycling bin. Its body trembled uncontrollably, ribs outlined beneath a coat dulled with neglect. Its head stirred just enough to look at her. Big, sorrowful amber eyes locked onto hers. Then it lowered its head again, too weak to keep watching. Something cracked open inside Riley. She knew that look, had lived that look. Abandonment. Fear. Emptiness. Her instincts warred with logic. She didn't even have enough warmth for herself. But still, she moved. Slowly. Carefully. She unwrapped Freddie from her shoulders and began to crawl across the snow-slick sidewalk, each breath a cloud of frost, each movement a struggle. "Hey, boy," she whispered, her voice hoarse and small. The dog didn't move. Only shivered harder. With trembling hands, Riley draped the thin blanket over his frame, tucking it around his body with as much care as her frozen fingers could manage. The shepherd let out a soft, pitiful whine. His eyes cracked open once more, and this time, they held something she recognized even deeper than loneliness: trust. "It's okay," she murmured, inching closer. She reached out, and when the dog didn't recoil, she ran her fingers gently through the coarse, icy fur. "You're not alone anymore." The shepherd exhaled a shuddering breath, then inched toward her, resting his head against her thigh. Riley gasped at the warmth, faint but real, radiating from his body. For the first time in months, she didn't feel completely alone. The sun crept over the rooftops of Bridgeport, casting its weak glow across a landscape cloaked in snow. Riley stirred beneath the crooked awning she and the shepherd had huddled under through the night. Her limbs were stiff, her cheeks raw, but her side was warm, warm because of him. She looked down. The dog still slept beside her, curled into her side, Freddie the blanket wrapped loosely around them both. A fragile smile tugged at her dry lips. "Guess we're a team now," she whispered, scratching gently behind his ears. He opened his eyes slowly, alert but calm. His tail gave a faint thump. Despite his skinny frame, there was power in his build, an intelligent spark in his eyes. Riley stretched with a groan. "We need food." The shepherd blinked at her as if he understood. They wandered the streets side by side, Riley keeping a sharp eye on every trash can, every bench, every discarded bag. She checked for scraps, anything edible. Sometimes luck struck. Usually, it didn't. She'd started calling him Flint, not just for his ash-colored coat, but because he reminded her of a spark in the dark. He was more than a stray now. He was a reason to keep moving. By midday, her hunger gnawed like a beast inside her. She led Flint to the steps of a subway entrance, where foot traffic was constant and occasionally generous. She pulled her knees up and took a deep breath. She hadn't sung in years. Not since her last foster home. Not since her world had cracked and crumbled into homelessness. But now, she had nothing left to lose. Eyes closed, Riley began to sing. A soft, aching melody drifted into the cold city air, fragile, imperfect, but real. Her voice, cracked with cold and weariness, carried a kind of broken beauty. Most people didn't stop. A few glanced her way. But then Flint did something she didn't expect. He stood. He faced the crowd. And when someone came near, he wagged his tail and gave a polite, short bark, not aggressive, just curious. A man in a navy trench coat slowed, looked down at Flint, then at Riley. With a small shrug, he dropped some coins into the open mitten beside her. Her breath caught. A woman in a red wool coat paused next, kneeling to stroke Flint's head. "You've got a handsome boy here," she said gently. She smiled at Riley and handed her a folded $5 bill. Riley nearly choked. "Thank you," she whispered. The woman gave a small nod and walked on. Flint nudged her with his nose, urging her to keep singing. She did. By dusk, Riley had earned more in one day than she had all month, enough for sandwiches, bottled water, and even dog treats. As they walked toward the convenience store, she noticed a woman standing on the far side of the street. Elegant. Composed. Wearing a long tan coat and a soft gray scarf. Her eyes, sharp yet distant, were fixed on Riley and Flint. Then, just as quickly, she turned and disappeared into the crowd. Riley frowned. Something about the moment made her stomach flutter. She didn't know it yet, but everything was about to change. That night, the wind returned with vengeance, shrieking down the alleys of Bridgeport. Riley pulled her makeshift coat tighter around her frame, shoulders hunched as she and Flint made their way down a side street toward the fenced-off construction lot where they sometimes found shelter. Flint padded silently beside her, alert, his ears flicking at every sound. The day had been good. Better than good. They'd eaten, laughed. Well, she had, and Flint had wagged his tail, which was close enough. It felt like, for a moment, the world had given a little back. A rare thing. "You're my good luck charm, you know that," she murmured, brushing her hand across his thick fur. Flint gave a soft grunt, steam rising from his nose in the freezing air. But the moment shattered. Footsteps echoed behind them, too quick, too many. Riley's stomach dropped. "Hey there, sweetheart," a voice called from behind. Cold. Mocking. 3 young men stepped into the glow of a broken street lamp. Their clothes were torn and dirty, eyes sunken with hunger and something harder, desperation twisted into malice. "Got anything for us?" one sneered, eyes darting between Riley and her satchel. Riley froze, clutching her bag. I don't have anything." The tallest one stepped forward, hood drawn low over his face. "We saw you singing. You made money. Don't lie." Flint growled, a low, vibrating sound that seemed to come from the earth itself. He stepped in front of Riley, body rigid, eyes locked on the threat. "Oh, look," one of the others chuckled. "The mutt wants to play hero." "Call him off," the tall one snapped. "Or he gets hurt." "Please," Riley begged. "We don't want trouble." But mercy didn't live in alleys like these. The tall one lunged. Riley gasped, stumbling backward. Flint sprang forward, a blur of snarling fury. His jaws locked around the attacker's arm with a sickening crunch. The man screamed, thrashing as Flint held tight, eyes blazing. "Get him off," someone yelled. Another thug kicked at Flint's side. The shepherd yelped but didn't release. Only when Riley cried out, "Stop," did he finally back off, crouching low but ready to strike again. The leader staggered back, cradling his bleeding arm. "Screw this," he hissed. "Let's go." The 3 vanished into the shadows. Silence. Just Riley's ragged breaths and Flint's soft whimpers. She dropped beside him, her hands shaking as she checked for wounds. He trembled but remained upright. "You're all I have," she whispered into his fur, tears burning her cheeks. "Don't leave me, okay?" Flint licked her face, tail twitching weakly. He was still there. Still fighting. Still his. They stayed on the cold pavement, Riley's arms wrapped tightly around Flint. His body pressed against hers, offering what warmth he could. Every shift made him whimper, and every whimper cracked her heart wider. She had nothing, no shelter, no help. And now her best friend was hurt. She whispered to him in the dark, voice broken and aching. That's when she heard footsteps. Steady. Measured. A soft voice spoke through the cold. There you are. Riley looked up. Standing before her was the same elegant woman from the subway, calm, dignified, with eyes like polished slate. She knelt in the snow, not caring about the designer coat brushing the ground. Her gaze shifted to Flint, widening slightly in recognition. What's his name? Riley hesitated. Flint. The woman smiled softly. Of course it is. Riley frowned. What does that mean? The woman exhaled, her breath curling in the air. Years ago, I trained German shepherds for police and therapy work. One of them, my best, was stolen. I searched for him everywhere. He had a fire in him. Just like yours. Her voice trembled. I thought I lost him. And maybe I did. But now, I found you. Riley tensed, pulling Flint closer. He's mine. I don't care who you think he was. The woman held up her hands gently. I can see that. I would never take him from you. Riley blinked. My name is Dr. Eliza Rowan. I run a canine training and rehabilitation center just outside the city. I've been watching you. How you care for him. How he guards you like you're his world. And how, even with nothing, you gave him your only blanket. She held out a card. I'd like to help. You and Flint. Come with me. Learn with me. You belong somewhere better. Riley stared at the card like it was on fire. Why? Eliza's eyes softened. Because I believe in second chances. Flint looked up at Riley, calm now, his amber eyes full of something she hadn't seen in years, hope. Warmth. That's what Riley noticed first. Not just from the fireplace or the food or the thick fleece blanket tucked around her, but from the feeling of safety. Of home. Eliza's estate was nestled in the countryside beyond Bridgeport, a sanctuary of open fields, clean kennels, and sunlight filtering through old oak trees. Flint had been treated the moment they arrived, his wounds bandaged, his strength returning in days. Riley still couldn't believe it. She had a bed now. Real meals. Clean clothes. And even school, something she'd abandoned years ago. Eliza had seen something in her no one else had. And she was right. Riley had a gift. With animals. She trained with the other handlers every day. Studied. Learned. Worked with rescues and therapy dogs. And Flint? He was a legend. Eliza had guessed correctly, he'd been trained before. Abandoned, maybe stolen. But in the right hands, he thrived. Loyal. Sharp. Brave. But no matter how skilled he became, he never left Riley's side. Not once. Now, as snow gently fell outside the wide bay window, Riley sat curled on a couch with Flint sprawled across her lap, content and safe. She looked out at the distant city lights. The streets had once taken everything from her. But one act of kindness, one shared blanket, had rewritten her story. We made it, she whispered. Flint sighed, tail thumping lazily. And they had. Together. If this story moved you, share it with someone who believes in second chances. Subscribe for more powerful stories of loyalty, resilience, and the unbreakable bond between humans and their animal companions. Because sometimes, all it takes is one kind moment to change a life.